Everybody, welcome to an overview of how this interactive Brokers API Workshop works with the Bootcamp. I've also added the end a section on Dukascopy. I'll go over that in a minute. And what this is really demos using Redis NOSQL database in Python, Java, and C++. So you're going to be building a message queuing system using Redis, which is a NoSQL database, very fast, true open source, no freemium crap. It's all source code included when you download Redis. And it covers pretty well all the major operating systems. Now, let me give you a little backstory. I used to be a big fan of Windows up until Windows 10. I moved off of Windows just due to security, these forced update business, and I'm now on Mac. This can be put on the Linux as well. I'm not going to get into that. But the idea here, and the beautiful thing that I've always liked about interactive brokers, is that they were a true broker that supported all three major operating systems. And for a while, up until a few years ago, usually the Mac and Linux versions were the ugly duckling compared to the Windows versions. But now everything's pretty well the same when they released the new Trader Workstation. And what you want to understand is that the three major languages out there, Java, C++, and Python, are supported, and there's reasons why you want to use certain languages under certain conditions. So let's talk about that. So what we're going to understand to know about interactive brokers and using the TWS software, the Trader Workstation, is you want to kind of understand it. We're not here to teach you how to use Trader Workstation or how trading works. We've got other courses for that. So for instance, we've got the Python infrastructure building blocks to understand how to build out a full-on algorithmic trading system. We've got, as an example, futures options, a strategy course, so that's available. But the idea here is to specifically focus on the interactive brokers, because out of all the brokers out there among my community, interactive brokers is the #1 broker used for automation. And the other big reason is that they are found in all the major markets throughout the world. So they've taken full advantage of that. So let's talk about what you can find in this course. Now, the course includes video walkthroughs for the source code. We've got some that cover playbacks. We've got other ones where I've got right at the end here, one of the steps, a 5-hour workshop of the entire course that is being presented here. Among others, there's lots of bonus stuff in here that's pretty exhaustive. So the first module is why Redis, and why Redis is considered one of the fastest databases in the world. As I said in one of my previous videos, they've had performance of 4 million transactions per second being pumped through this thing. So you can build a pretty sophisticated message queuing system between the different components of a trading system for analysis, for risk, whatever you want, and plus have it connected into maybe some kind of order management server or execution system. So you could, this will walk you through all those pieces if you decide to go and use any of those types of implementations. So we focus on using the Redis as a message queue as well as a data store for all the data that is being pumped and generated by your own system, as well as all the data that you would be interacting with interactive brokers. So the next module is just simple Python demonstration, demoing this IBPy package. There's another one that just came out. I have no idea if that's any good, but this one seems to work okay. And again, you got to remember, I always include the sample source code. Now the other thing is that's very important is understanding, as I said, the message queue. Once you understand that message queue, meaning where how you can push messages on a message bus between this component and that component, so you have two components talking at the other end, no different than if it was on a traditional phone. And with that, it doesn't matter what languages each end is working in, if it's C++, Java, or Python, you are keeping all the data stored in one repository through Redis. And that could be stored in memory, which makes it really fast. You can also shard it. You can also have it stored in a cluster, so it can be spanned across various systems. And the best part is you can do this in an unlimited way. And why can you enable that? Because it's free. Because Redis is open source. That's the advantage that this brings. So what we do here is we show you all the different demonstrations that you can use with Java and Python, where Java could be on your execution side for that extra little bit of speediness that you cannot get with something like Python. So there is that. And if you use this pattern known as the pub sub, publisher subscriber, and understand the power of it, you can do some pretty solid stuff. So understanding how to set up source code examples or SAMP examples, you can see how they're used, and that's how that's how this whole thing's presented. So of course we've got the three different integrated development environments, IDEs, using NetBeans for Java, PyCharm for Python. In my case, I'm using Xcode on Mac. You could also obviously use Visual Studio if you're on Windows, and there's a whole ton of different ones on Linux, or you could just use CLine if you really wanted to for C++. So we show that. Now, obviously, we get into the Java test client. Think of the Java test client as being a miniature version of the Trader Workstation, which is the entire software that Interactive Brokers gives you as a retail trader or as an automated trader. You're going to get the same software. A lot of people don't like the software, and there's a big reason why, because it's bloated. It's a very complicated piece of software. But if you wanted to get the equivalent of the source code for it, you would be using something like the Java test client to really understand the power of that. And we show you different ways to use that test client in Java, and then have the data for both, when you collect data through it, push it into Redis, into your database, and then have other your software components interact and communicate with it to do the analysis, and then maybe generate a trading signal, push that back through your Redis queue, back into the Java test client if you want it for execution, use it as an order management system. You could do that with this Java test client. So I show you how you can use something like Redis and build it and embed it right into the Java test client, because you get the source code with it from Interactive Brokers. Now, another methodology you want to use with Redis is something called L-push and L-range. So in this particular example, is if you're using Java, let's say using the Java test client, what you can do is capture real-time live data from Interactive Brokers through the Java test client, and then again push that data again through Redis, and then have, let's say, your Python scripts at the other end to do the analysis to generate all your trading signals and whatnot. So you can do it using this design pattern of L-push and L-range, where your Java is the server and the Python is the client, okay, the subscriber. And once again, we do that through the TWS for orders, using the Python as the publisher. Again, if you decide to use Python as your scripts to generate your analysis of your trading, and then have, again, maybe Java as an example, your test client to push those datas or send out and submit orders back into Interactive Brokers, the gateway. You can do that through this example. And once again, you get the source code. Duh, right? That's what you're paying for. Now, a lot of people may argue, well, Java's got the garbage collector and all that. That's fine, but that's where C++ comes in, because it's a lean and mean environment. And again, using the API for C++ is kind of complicated, Not so bad in Windows, but again, as I said, we're trying to focus on non-Windows. So to find this stuff for Linux or Mac is kind of difficult. But I have found resources and demonstrate the capabilities of C++ in a, call it, POSIX compliant operating system like Linux or Mac OS. Okay, so we show you those examples. Now, the other beautiful thing is if you want to get really hoity-toity and really fancy, you no longer have to connect into the Trader workstation. There are demos here where you could use, let's say, the Interactive Brokers Gateway, which will take out the TWS, or if you really want to get really fast, you can also use Fix as well. We don't get into Fix because that's a whole other world, and that's institutional level, depending upon your capital. Going into Fix really doesn't offer much advantage other than you could use Interactive Brokers as your test bed before you go on to a direct market access, like on an exchange using Fix. So this is a good place to do that and start and learn that. But again, we don't do that here. We just keep it either with the gateway of Interactive Brokers or the TWS Trader Workstation. Okay, so enough of the blabbing. You're probably wondering, gee, I'm a little confused. So we've got a whole section on when, under certain what conditions would you use this programming language, and under what scenario would you use this programming language versus that programming language. And a lot of it comes down to what kind of asset class you're dealing with, and obviously your broker, your trading account size as well. Now, as I said at the beginning, we've wanted to focus on Dukascopy. I've looked at Dukascopy over the last few months. Pretty good little broker, reliable or not in terms of will they rip you off, I don't know. But so far of all the brokers I've seen from an automation or an API point of view, just for pure forex, I like Dukascopy. I like what I see. I like the community. So therefore, I have two demonstrations here. The first one is how to send orders from, let's say, your Java side, from your Python script into the JForex, which is the software from Dukascopy, and use the JForex, and then you can use socket programming to submit orders into JForex, and then submit those same orders from within JForex to the Dukascopy broker gateway, and then you're obviously live trading. The other thing is using the flat file capability of JForex, and then have your scripts, namely in my case Python, to do some analysis, and then again use the socket programming to push those orders back into the JForex environment, back to Dukascopy. So I show all that within the entire course. So the reason I do that is because with Interactive Brokers, you need $10,000 US to get started with Interactive Brokers. With Dukascopy, if you just want to learn the basics, specifically around forex trading, all you need is 100 US or 100 Swiss franc or euro, I don't remember, but it's pretty minimal to get you started to live trading and really get and test out your strategies. So that's what I cover here, and that's pretty well it. Hopefully you'll like it, and hopefully you'll be part of this. Over and out. Later.